Hey, and I hope you are having a tremendous day so far, because things are about to get a lot darker and a lot more bleak when we look at this guy, the leader of the Decepticons. It is the Transformers Siege Voyager class Megatron, and he will be our focus in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Bolton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and me everywhere. And this guy is a little bit of a mixed bag. There's a lot here to like. And he's going to go graded as we always grade these guys. And as we've gone through Wave 1, we have asked the question whether or not particular figures are justified or not. In other words, are they guilty or innocent of having a justified price increase? And this guy will be no different. He'll be subjected to the same question. And while there's a lot here to like, there is one or two things, one in particular that may be a fatal flaw. We'll find out when we look at all the details that has to do with this guy when we head over to the table to take a closer look at him. And here we have the newest iteration of the Decepticon leader. And over the years we've looked at many a mighty Megatron here on the channel, and we'll kind of see some comparisons in just a little bit. How well does this guy exactly stack up, especially since we are not only, remember, going to measure him as we always do, but we're going to determine if he is guilty or innocent when it comes to the price increase for this Siege line. And I've explained it before that in terms of overall cost, the Voyagers are not kind of subject to as atrocious of an increase as the Deluxes, though still pretty bad. The overall effect on price, the bottom line, is that there's another 25% that's added, basically. Meaning, in my neck of the woods, a Voyager went from 30 bucks to 40 bucks, plus tax, of course. Is this guy worth that kind of a jump? Well, we'll see that as we go on. And to my shock and surprise, thus far, I've really ended up having a lot more innocent than I thought I was going to. In the Deluxes, there was two that were clearly innocent because we've never had updates of those characters. And there was another one that just squeaked by, and another one that was guilty. I don't think it's worth the increase. We, in the Voyagers, have already looked at one of these, and he was innocent. Optimus was innocent. Even though there's a couple of things wrong, there's so much that's done right with that figure. What about his counterpart, Megatron here? Well, let's begin by looking at the boxes we always do. And hey, here is a box. And here we have nice artwork of Megatron. I believe he is standing on the crushed cranium of Omega Supreme. Spoiler, that's who we're getting as a Titan class figure in this line. I still don't like the shape of this. In this case, I can't really say, hey, I think that part of the increase goes into the packaging because Voyagers have always come in boxes, so this isn't really any different. Of course, on the back we have the like product pictures and whatnot, and you know, it's product pictures. And we have our typical artwork for this line on the side. It is a box. There you go. I will say this too. I've noticed that for once, finally, on the top of these, we have a Decepticon symbol for the Decepticons. We have an Autobot symbol for the Autobots, as it always should have been. He, of course, comes with instructions, and they are delightfully detailed. I do not have them open here, though I can tell you the pictures are black and white. Very crisp, the purple very crisp. But why am I showing the front here? Because you will notice that when we look at Megatron there's no battle damage on him. I would have been a lot cooler with this. I prefer this look over the battle damage look. I've said it before, there's a right way and a wrong way to do the battle damage. I don't dig the way it's been done here. Nevertheless, my favorite part of these instructions are what are becoming ever popular accessory stats. And up top we have the stats for his fusion cannon. It is super duper powerful. Okay, range, like it's a good range and I guess a good target. But if you look down bottom, his like laser strike cannon thing, his sword that has a cannon in it, it's just as strong as his fusion cannon. It has better accuracy apparently, and the range is about the same. I'm not sure how a sword has the same range as a fusion cannon, but hey, whatever. Whatever, man. Either way, it's kind of cool that we're getting stats, but in a different way. Speaking of his accessories, here is his famous fusion cannon, though I wish that this part back here extended further and that this section was larger on the round. Like, I feel like I feel like the connection piece here, we'll say, like, should be more centered than it is. It's a cool looking fusion cannon. It's one of the better ones we've gotten, but I feel like it could be done just a little bit better. We can put a blast effect in the front here if you're so inclined. I don't have it done here, but we'll see that in just a little bit. He also comes with this telescopic laser cannon thing. Now there's a handle that I'm holding on to. There's also a 5mm peg here. So it can peg in his arm as like a cannon. It can also be held as a sword. To do that, you just flip these pieces up and over, and now we have it as a sword. The other way that it just is the way it's supposed to be for vehicle mode, but like, okay, I guess it's a fine sword, I suppose. These go together a bit better than what I have them, but like, it's fine. I'm not a huge melee guy. Now, like I said, you can plug it in on the side, so I guess you could have like a blade there, or you could have left those up and you could have like a kind of a cannon on either arm. We'll see some of those configurations in a bit. There's also the option of taking these pieces off. I'll show that as well. By the way, here's the fusion cannon with the blast effect in it. We're just going to take that out though, because you can also take this thing and apparently plug it in there like that, I guess. And I guess you could split these and bring them down around and rotate them up like this. Hold all of that together, and like, there you go. That can be his fusion cannon, I guess. It's huge and looks like this, which I think we can all agree looks kind of ridiculous, but it's an option. He also has, you can probably even see it on this other arm that has nothing on it here. Not only does he have a peg hole on his forearm, but he has one on his bicep, so it could look like this. I don't know if you like the look of that better. Perhaps you're more of a traditionalist, so you want something that looks like this, with sort of a traditional fusion cannon and a sword. Or maybe you're like, hey, it's Megatron, man, let's give him a couple of cannons, and you want it to look something like this. Because when it comes to Megatron, double the firepower is double the fun. But you might not like those bladed pieces sticking off. Well, you can always do this and simply place it across his back. No problem, but you might still be dissatisfied with that. Maybe you would like him to have a little bit more of his iconic G1 look. And in order to accomplish that, well, it would be nice if you could kind of have this cannon out. So you might opt to do this. And this way you have it up over his shoulder. Shout out to Patriot Prime Reviews for this, because I hadn't thought of doing this, but it works. It as like an option to have it up over his shoulder. Of course, in doing that, it means you now have the sword pieces down the back. The same problem we had when we pegged it in on his arm, but you can also remove them if you're so inclined. I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but way in there we have a mushroom peg. That's what holds these two bladed pieces on. So we could simply remove the mushroom peg and have the whole cannon section left so that it looks like this. Bam! Right there. Now, all we did was take out those sections. So now, and we can even still kind of manipulate these, right? Get them down out of the way, that's fine. And we can plug it back into his arm. I would call that a much more successful double fusion cannon look, wouldn't you? And here we have Megatron celebrating, getting rid of those blade pieces. Of course, you can put blast effects there in the two ends of his cannons. He does have the little blast effect warts on his body, so you could take it out of there and place one, say, right there on his arm, for instance. And you could take this one out and place it, I don't know, right there on his leg, for example. And of course, finally we come to my chosen display method for him, which is this. We have the cannon on his back without the blade pieces on. It kind of looks like his muzzle. you know, I don't have his blast effects on, but that's fine. Of course, he can get, you know, filled up with Micromasters and Battle Masters because he has, I believe, 12 ports on his body, if I'm not mistaken. And even maybe a couple of pegs. So everyone's favorite tyrant can be this sort of a, like, weird hodgepodge. Like, I'm using a lot of what's on the guy, even though I haven't yet placed anything on the bottoms of his feet. He has a couple of peg holes down there as well, but, like, you know, you can add everything to him. He's one of the more versatile ones that you can arm up, which I guess makes sense. I mean, it's Megatron, and he turns into a tank. He's known to turn into, you know, a firearm himself time to time. So, like I kind of dig this, and this is perhaps when we've had success in creating his G1 animation robot mode while incorporating the kind of G2 tank mode. Like, this is probably the most successful that's ever happened. So he can do this. Of course, here he is cogged up. And here, of course, we have him cogged up. Now, I'm sure that this will work better with Brunt later on. Now, I will say this, on my particular copy of Megatron, the port over on the left arm, the upper left arm, is extremely loose, almost doesn't hold anything in. I do have one of the blasters that comes with cog put in there, but anything that has any weight is going to come out. I don't think it's widespread. I think it's just mine. But nevertheless, I mean, as versatile here as any of these figures, one of the more versatile ones. If you're into, like, armoring up your Megatron, hey, you can do it almost endlessly. That's where the real joy, I think, comes in with this line, is that kind of building on play value. Yeah, it's a tremendous idea, no doubt about it. And of course, here we have the beloved Decepticon leader himself. A few size comparisons just to put this Voyager class figure kind of in line with some others. Now, to be fair, I looked at the, I guess the 06 mold, but I looked at it as part of the Platinum One Shall Stand, One Shall Fall set way back in episode 91. I don't actually have that. That was on loan to me. That was a great Megatron, even though he had those kind of like blaster wings. You could remove them. You know, it served the purpose for a lot of people for a lot of years, but it certainly wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And then for a lot of years, as I depicted in episode 131, I used this guy as my Megatron. It is the Generations Deluxe class Stealth Bomber plane mode that was put out a few years ago. It's obviously custom painted here. I used this guy in season 1 of Universal Collision a lot too. Like, it was one of the earlier Megatrons I had. I never did really find it overly Megatron-y, other than I liked the head sculpt. No comparison to the Siege one at all in any way, shape, or form, but nevertheless. Another Voyager one, and this one actually was a Voyager one, and it was another custom job I looked at in episode 132, was from the Transformers Prime line. And there's like, that Megatron was always so small and like tiny to me. I don't know why he was always so small, but like, he obviously doesn't have the same size. Naturally, this was also a custom jobby that, you know, it filled the bill for a while when I wanted a Voyager Megatron, and it was all right, but still didn't quite fill the need. Eventually, in episode 229, and I used this next guy also in Universal Collision, but I picked him up really almost for like a laugh. I saw him for super duper cheap. I done a little bit of custom work on him, which I think helped the situation tremendously, but it is this guy. I did a bit of custom work on him. He came out, this iteration of the mold came out in a box set during Revenge of the Fallen, if I'm not mistaken. But you get the idea. Like, again, it's kind of short for Megatron, but like, he had so much mass. I added a lot of the silver because that was just translucent plastic. But like, again, totally different iterations of the Decepticon later. But this is a Voyager to a Voyager. And here he is next to the deluxe class Rage over Cybertron version of that deluxe class video game Megatron. The coloring obviously is a bit different here, and I sourced his fusion cannon from like a regular retail release. I looked at this guy in episode 236, and for a long time, even though this was stylized, a lot of people regarded this as like a pretty definitive type of Megatron because he so looked the part. And I love the size of his cannon compared to his arm. I don't think the size of the cannon for the Siege one compared to his arm is quite as nice. Again, it's a stylistic thing, but this is still a solid figure. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But let's look at a couple of things that are probably the most closest to this guy for comparison. That being the Titans Return Megatron, my custom Titans Return Megatron, who looks like this. Now, I looked at the Titans Return Megatron in episode 451, and admittedly, the Siege one, just out of package, is a better iteration of the Decepticon leader. I did a lot of custom work on the Titans Return one, and honestly, I really, really dig it, like a lot, as much, if not more, than the Siege Megatron. It needed the custom work, and it could still use a lot of kind of custom gray. I like the gray on the Siege a lot better, because it's more of a silvery gray, there's no doubt. But again, this is still a solid figure, and this is where we're going to draw most of our comparisons. But, that being said, the Megatron that stands in my collection personally right now as a Siege, or as a like a Chug scaled Megatron, as a Generations scaled Megatron, would be this guy. Good old Toy World's Hegemon, who I looked at in episode 133 and the custom paint apps I did on him. Naturally, I'm not going to kind of draw the comparison of these two too much as we go through here because it's not really fair. We're talking about a more expensive, older third-party representation versus a newly engineered mainline representation. It's apples to oranges, but we can compare the Titans Return Megatron to this one. And that brings us to our first indication of guilty or innocent. Okay, so we know that the Titans Return one is just a touch taller. He weighs in at 180 grams of plastic. What about the Siege? The Siege might be a touch shorter, but he actually clocks in at 191 grams of plastic. This is indeed a more robust Megatron. It is more weight in the plastic. It is more actually used here. And you can feel it, especially in the body. The body, to me, feels like a very thick plastic. So when we get to comparing stuff here, undeniably, right now, he has to be falling on the side of innocent because he has tremendous playability and interconnectivity with other like figures and accessories in the line, and because he is legitimately more plastic. You can't deny it. I mean, if you use more material, okay, it's going to cost a little bit more. I get it. But that being said, is he good enough just as a fun toy to warrant it? Well, the paint apps. The paint apps undeniably are Megatron. And truth be told, I would absolutely give it a 10, if not for a couple of things. The fusion cannon, I feel like, is a little more stylized than I would like. I wish that the tail end of it here was larger. So it's a little bit off. And the battle damage is not well done. I can accept it on his shins, but like so many other people have said, I don't like it on the chest, I don't like it on the arms. I may remove it. It is, of course, noted as being difficult to remove, and some people have done a sloppy job in their attempts to do so, and it really ended up taking off like some of the Decepticon symbol or some of the blue or some of the yellow down on his tummy. Like, you gotta be careful with this stuff, guys. So, because of those two things, and the fact that I don't think the battle damage was needed, I'm going to say that it is undoubtedly Megatron, but those two little things keep it from being absolutely perfect. Plus, down on his belly we have, you know, like the blue and the yellow, really, they should be positioned a little bit differently, and there's a red one that should be there. But it's undoubtedly Megatron. It is easily a 9.75. What about the Decepticon leader's articulation? Well, as a tank, he rolls fine. It's a fine tank, I suppose. In this mode, we have a head where it's on a ball joint, but the ball joint's at the back of the head, which means it can only turn that far left and that far right, not all the way around. He can look down, but unfortunately in doing so, he's looking down into his chest. And he can look up, but since there's no tab for this whole neck section, like, that's not right. That doesn't look good at all. Bring that down. The arms, they can go all the way around, and they can both go all the way around. They can go way out to the side. I think that's tremendous. That's better than Hegemon. We have a nice bicep swivel. We have an elbow to, I'd say, 92 degrees. The wrists can go in, but there's no rotation. And when they come out, they don't tend to come all the way out. Like, this is as far as they come out. It's a little strange, but not, not detrimental. The waist is limited unless you pick off the backpack. Then he has a free-ranging waist, and he can boogie and dance all night with the best of them. The hips, they go well out to the side, no problem at all. I dig that. They go well forward, and all of this is toleranced well, like things aren't loose. It can go well back. Again, if you get the backpack out of the way, it can go way back. That being said, you can see here now from the side, he does have a rather large and egregious backpack. I can get how some people will not like that. He has a thigh swivel. He has a knee to 90 degrees, and it's a stiff knee joint. It's friction, but it's toleranced super duper good. We have like a toe that kind of moves, but not much. We have heels that move a little too easy. And he does have an ankle tilt. But this is what happens to me. When I try to move his ankle out, the ankle doesn't give way. What happens? Oh, there you go. One ankle gave way. This one over here, no. The foot's just going to come off. And like the foot just has like a little, see if I can show this. The foot just has like a little hole up right there, and it goes on over a plastic peg here. And all I can think of is Combiner Wars dead end and his tailpipe. And on my dead end, the little plastic piece here broke off. So my tailpipe does not stay in place other than it's sandwiched between his knees or whatever it is that's on. I think it's his knees. As long as you have the tailpipe sandwiched in there, it's fine. But as soon as you like kind of split his legs to transform him or whatever, the tailpipe will fall off because there's nothing there to hold it on. If this breaks, then this Megatron is useless. His foot is broken. And I don't feel like the plastic on this is any thicker. I don't feel like that's any better plastic than we've ever gotten. It's not as good as the plastic up on his chest, and that really concerns me. That's not the best of it. If it is out like this, that one tabs in nicely. Again, this one over here, if I can get it off, I need to do exactly, again, shout out to Patriot Prime Reviews here, I gotta do the same thing you gotta do, buddy, which is take the foot off, push this back in, and then put the foot back on. So, he does have an ankle tilt. I would advise using it very sparingly, if at all. So, because the ankle tilt, really, as far as I'm concerned, fails on this guy, his articulation, while, again, it should be an easy 9. It'd be nice if his waist moved more freely. And it would be nice if his hands had wrist rotation, because everything else is pretty good on him. And the head. You need better articulation on that head. Though the sculpt is the best, bar none, the best Megatron sculpt we've ever gotten on a mainline figure. It is quintessentially Megatron. I'm going to say overall, his articulation is an 8. It's good, but there's room for improvement. Nevertheless, an 8 and a 9.75, he's still scoring really well. I mean, he's scoring just about a 9, like an 8.90, like he's doing really, really well, there's no doubt. Of course, we do have the transformation to go, don't we? Alright, so here's where we stand. In terms of his score, he's getting an 8.90. In terms of guilty or innocent, so far he is definitely falling on the side of innocent. The transformation, I'm going to try and show it as best I can, but it's It's interesting and not always easy to show, but hey, we'll see how we do here. We begin by taking his fusion cannon and turning it up. A lot of people begin by taking that off his arm. Don't. That's not what you do. Turn that up, turn that up. We can take the kind of like cannon sword thing off of his back, lay that aside for now. All right. I'm almost nervous doing this guy. It's one of those, like, it's not that it's hard, it's just I know now it's going to be hard to kind of show things here. It's just the nature of the guy. The head sort of, we can kind of start to push that down a bit. And then the backpack comes off. Now, by rights on the backpack, we have two rectangular tabs there that go into two rectangular slots here. It holds all right, but nothing to get excited about. We can open out those, I guess, front tread sections and lift this all the way up for now. Then we can kind of come here to the arms and they untab from the body like that. Very important step here now that a lot of people overlook is flip this back, back end of the shoulder up and flip this back end of the shoulder up. Now when you bring the arms together, this other peg over here should go into this slot on his arm. So we should be able to bring those around and that should peg together nicely. A lot of people have said, like, mine don't peg together nicely. I'm not sure why that would be, other than you don't have things quite lined up, because things do really need to be lined up. Some people have also said that they find they can't put the sword section in. If you don't have these shoulder pieces flipped up, none of this is going to fit right. If you haven't already done it, you can flip in his hand and you can flip in his hand. That's really the top turret section done. Now, this whole front section here, it slides down into here, kind of. You're sort of accordioning it, compressing it down. It's really strange the way that it works. You see if I can do it. See if I can even do it. Like, I don't find that that's elegant the way that it collapses down. There. You'll know it. You'll feel it when it's collapsed all the way down, but it's not elegant doing it. Then we come up to the top here again. And we have this flap here. And this flap comes down between the treads. When you bring it down, there's a couple of little rectangular tabs on each side. And if you look on the treads, there's a couple of little notches where they lock in. I don't find it ever holds super duper securely well, but you'll know it. You'll be able to see that, oh yeah, this peg lines up with this, this hole, and this is the way it's supposed to be. If I can do it here now. There, like that. It'll kind of look like that. Sorta. So you get the, you get the idea, man. You get the idea. At this point, you're going to want to get ready to start with the legs, or you could, if you really wanted to, try and put this piece in, but I don't advise doing it yet. I've seen some people do that, trying to kind of do things quickly and early. Don't. Leave that aside for now. Get the whole tank done first, man. Save that for last. Okay. Then we come to the legs, and this is where things get a bit strange. We turn the full waist around. So now all of the, I guess like the screw holes and whatnot, and the pins and all this stuff is now facing out front. We close up the heels into the feet. We bring down like the back of the leg there, and we bring down the back of the leg there. And we bring the leg out to the side, and then we bend the knee down like to the side like that. It's really strange. Now, the way that this whole thing goes is that you have to really, I'll get that leg out of the way, keep the upper part of the thigh in this position while rotating the lower part of the thigh and the knee inside here. I find it's best if I hold on to that and then start to just like wiggle the rest around with my other hand. It goes in there, no problem. You're going to close this up, and when you do so, you're going to kind of want it angled down like this. So you close this up. Now there's a rectangular peg on his hip that goes into a rectangular slot on the leg section. It is bit of a bear to get it in, but once you do it, it's all right. So that side's in. Then we come to this side. Same thing, we hold on to it. We bend, if I can do it, we bend down here at the knee, and I find this one is a little trickier to do, probably because I'm left-handed. And we start to bring this down and rotate it in and around like that. Again, we close this up and we do the same thing. Peg over, or peg hole over the peg on the hip. And ba-boom, we have those in like that. And we can put this kind of down. We got to straighten up these arms here a little bit more. And arguably, like, boom, there's your tank mode. No, I say arguably, boom, there's your tank mode, because we're not quite there yet, are we? No, we need to place the kind of like sword piece thing in, and it's supposed to finish this off. Now, to me, I feel like, well, you could probably use this as the cannon piece. Now, he rolls like a champion. He's great. But to finish him off properly, really, you need to come here, make sure that they're up. And you're going to do that. The blades go underneath the arms. If these shoulder pieces aren't flipped up, the blades cannot go under the arms properly. Then, really on the fusion cannon, where you put the blast effect is where you're plugging in this whole section. In fact, earlier on his arm, we saw these two pieces put together as like a huge fusion cannon. You're basically putting them together in the same manner for alt mode. And it looks like this. It's a fine looking Cybertronian tank in the end. And the whole way through, I've neglected to actually show Megatron with Optimus with his counterpart. They look fine together in vehicle mode, here they are, but I'm kind of glad that I neglected it, because I forgot to mention something with Optimus and his accessory storage. You see, in his review I said that there wasn't any kind of real good accessory storage, and I pointed out a couple of options, and I forgot at the time, and the TF Fan Geek was kind enough to point out to me that I forgot really the most, I guess, symmetrical and intended storage that there is. On the back part of the truck here, you can flip up his knees and it opens up a 5mm port there. Now you could probably put a trailer hitch of some sort in there, but I believe you're supposed to put the axe onto the blaster, onto his ion blaster, and then put that there. I think that's the intended storage, which I guess it's all right, I suppose. But he's not the main event here. I just wanted to show both of them together in this mode, as well as here they are in robot mode, and they scale very nicely. Here's the thing, the transformation on Megatron is a solid 9. Couple of little fiddly parts, but overall, like, it's nothing that's going to hang me up. It's kind of ingenious how a lot of it is done. I love the way the legs are done. It's so unique. He's a 9. He is a 9. Is he guilty or innocent? Here's the thing. I think I have to say that Megatron, because of the fact he is the best mainline iteration we've ever had of the Decepticon leader, because he is an affordable option, because besides for him, I think the best kind of chug representation that we have of Megatron would be Hegemon, and he's an expensive third party. It is what it is. But for like the most affordable option for the best looking Megatron, undoubtedly, the Siege one takes it. Undoubtedly. So he is innocent, but there is a caveat to all of this. All of it. For longevity and functionality, I'm confident in the Titans Return Megatron and his parts holding up. I really am. For this guy, I am worried about the longevity of his ankles. If your copy's ankles and feet work like mine, if his feet just come off as easily as mine do, I would highly advise, for as great as this guy is, you keep a close eye on the plastic of his ankles and make sure you're not getting stress marks. He's good. He's excellent. He is an innocent in terms of his increased price. I see why, but that's not to say he's absolutely perfect. And so here we are once again, and there's a lot to like here. I mean, it's a great looking Megatron. It has pretty stellar articulation. The conversion is interesting, but I think that this is a fatal flaw. I think his ankles, like, it comes off like there's no friction. There's almost nothing holding it on that side. This side is a little better. A little better. I'm concerned that over time that's going to end up breaking off. I don't think the ankles are engineered well on him at all. I don't find that he stands particularly tremendously well. And if you want to kind of use the heel articulation, though I didn't mention it, like, you have to get past a bit of a lip there. Like, it's not... Ankles down is not good. Ankles up is pretty great. The problem is, he stands on his feet, you know? I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just my copy of the mold that's experiencing these issues. I hope it is. I hope yours isn't. Yeah, there's a lot to like. He's definitely worth it, but you have to pay attention to those ankles. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, and I didn't give his secret code on his box. I don't think I did it for Optimus either. Optimus is his icon. You know, spoiler, sorry. His is Kaon. In other words, Optimus is the capital of the Autobots' hub of activity, the Autobot capital, and Megatron's, fittingly so, is the Decepticon capital of Kaon. Yeah, I like him. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions to this guy. I'd love to hear your experiences with him, especially whether or not you've had the same issue in the ankles that I've had. Maybe it's just me. Like I said, I hope so. You know, I appreciate you dropping by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.